Where is my money? I demanded, my gaze fixed on the near-empty balance displayed on my banking app. A knot tightened in my chest as I frantically scrolled through my transactions, desperately searching for some oversight. But no, the amount was clear. Nearly $10,000, every cent I'd earned since high school, gone. My stepfather, Edward, sat across the kitchen table, nonchalantly sifting through the mail, completely unfazed. Relax, Clarice, it's not gone, he casually replied, not even bothering to look up. I transferred it to a better account for you, one with a higher interest rate and all that. I blinked, struggling to comprehend his words. You moved it without telling me. My question finally drew his gaze. His expression was calm, almost condescending. You'll appreciate it later. It's earning more for you this way. Something about his tone immediately felt wrong. What account? I pressed, my voice now sharp. Show me. He waved a dismissive hand. Oh, it's tied up in some commitments right now, but don't worry, it's being put to good use. My name is Clarice, and I had been diligently saving for my future since I was 16. Every summer, I worked tirelessly, often juggling 2 jobs, morning shifts at the coffee shop and evenings at the ice cream stand. I sacrificed vacations with friends, passed on new clothes, and endured more ramen meals than I care to admit, all to build my savings. That money was my ticket to independence. I hadn't yet decided if it would go towards tuition, a down payment on my own place, or perhaps a dream trip to Europe one day. All I knew was that it was mine, and I had earned every single penny. Edward and my mother, Margaret, had always downplayed my efforts, brushing off my plans with remarks like, "You're young, you have time to figure it out." But I never imagined they would outright take from me. Until now. The truth revealed, the full truth came to light later that evening. After persistent questioning, I finally cornered Margaret in the living room. "Where's my money, Mom?" I demanded, my voice trembling with frustration. "Edward said he moved it to some account, but he won't tell me where." She hesitated, glancing nervously towards the kitchen where Edward was preparing a drink. "Look, Clarice," she began, her voice soft but firm. "It's not as bad as you think." "That's not an answer," I snapped. "What did you do with it?" Her face tightened, and I instantly knew that whatever she was about to say would ignite my anger. "We used it to pay for Emily's tuition," she confessed. "Emily," I repeated, stunned. "Your stepdaughter. You used my money to pay for her college. She needed it." "Clarice," Margaret said defensively, her financial aid didn't come through, and she was at risk of losing her spot. What were we supposed to do? Let her drop out? "Yes!" I yelled, unable to contain myself. "She's not my responsibility. That money was for me. How could you possibly think this was okay?" Edward appeared in the doorway, holding his drink like a prop in a smug performance. "You're young," he said, echoing Margaret's frequent excuse. "You can always earn it back." Emily didn't have that kind of time. The room spun as their words registered. Every sleepless night, every blistered hand from double shifts, every penny I'd painstakingly saved it had all been for nothing. They had taken what was mine and used it to bail out Emily, who, as far as I knew, had never worked a day in her life. "I want it back," I stated, my voice cold and unwavering. "Every cent," Edward snorted, taking a sip of his drink. "You're being dramatic, Clarice." It's already spent. What do you expect us to do? Pull it out of thin air? I don't care how you do it, I retorted. Figure it out. Margaret sighed, rubbing her temples as if I were the unreasonable one. Clarice, please, you're acting like we robbed you. We're family. Sometimes sacrifices have to be made. Sacrifices, I snapped. I made sacrifices. I worked for that money. Emily didn't sacrifice anything. You stole it and handed it to her like it was yours to give. Taking action that night, sleep eluded me. I lay in bed, replaying the conversation, my anger intensifying with each passing hour. By morning, my decision was made. My first call was to Danny. I need help, I told her, my voice trembling as I recounted what had transpired. Her outrage was immediate. They did what? Clarice? That's theft. You need to call a lawyer. The second call was to a law firm Danny recommended. The woman I spoke with listened patiently as I poured out the entire story, from Edward's deceptive charm to Margaret's flimsy excuses. This is a clear case of unauthorized use of funds, the lawyer said after a long pause. We can definitely pursue legal action, but it'll require some documentation on your part. Do you have access to the account statements? Yes, I affirmed, my resolve solidifying. I'll send you everything. As I hung up, a strange calm settled over me. I wasn't sure what lay ahead, but one thing was certain. I wasn't going to let them get away with this. Edward and Margaret believed they could exploit me because I was young, because I was family, and because they assumed I wouldn't fight back. They were about to discover just how wrong they were. Legal proceedings begin the next few days were a blur of phone calls, emails, and a torrent of emotions. Danny sat with me one evening, helping me sort through old bank statements to gather evidence for the lawyer. I still can't believe they had the audacity to take it, she said, shaking her head as she highlighted the suspicious transfer. Like, who does that? And for Emily, of all people, doesn't she already get everything handed to her? I nodded, biting the inside of my cheek to keep from snapping the pen I was holding. She's never had to work for anything in her life. And now they're acting like I'm the selfish one for wanting my money back. Well, you're doing the right thing, Danny said firmly. They're counting on you feeling guilty, but you don't owe them anything. This was theft, plain and simple. The lawyer, Rebecca, concurred during our first formal meeting. She reviewed the documents I'd brought and nodded approvingly. This is more than enough to support your case, she stated, since Edward transferred the money from your account without explicit permission. It qualifies as unauthorized use of funds. We start by sending a demand letter, she explained. And if they ignore it, I leaned forward in my chair. Then we escalate, she said simply. But trust me, most people respond when the legal system gets involved. They're likely panicking already. The thought of Edward and Margaret scrambling to cover their tracks gave me a grim satisfaction. For years, they had treated me as an afterthought, prioritizing Emily at every turn. Now, they would finally have to face the consequences. The fallout. The demand letter arrived at their house 3 days later. I envisioned the scene. Edward opening the envelope, his smug smile fading as he read the contents. Margaret pacing the kitchen, wringing her hands and muttering about ungrateful children. Emily, oblivious as always, lounging in her dorm room with no idea what was happening. It didn't take long for the fallout to reach me. My phone buzzed late that evening. Edward's name flashing on the screen. I considered ignoring it, but decided to answer, my curiosity prevailing. "What the hell is this, Clarice?" he barked the moment I picked up. "You sent a lawyer after us?" I took a deep breath, keeping my voice steady. "I did. You stole my money, Edward." "This is me holding you accountable." "Stole," he repeated, his tone dripping with incredulity. "We're family." It was a loan. No, it wasn't. I said sharply, "You didn't ask me. You didn't even tell me. You just took it." Margaret's voice cut in from the background. "Clarice, you're being ridiculous. We did this for Emily. She needed help." And I didn't. I shot back. "Do you have any idea how hard I worked for that money? How much I gave up to save it?" "You had no right." Edward scoffed. "You're young. You can earn it back. This is a waste of everyone's time." "I guess we'll let the courts decide that." I said before hanging up that their defiance only strengthened my resolve. Rebecca filed the formal complaint the next day, citing unauthorized use of funds and breach of trust. "This should get their attention," she said as she emailed me the court documents. "If they refuse to repay the full amount, we'll move forward with legal proceedings." Confrontation and resolution. As word of the situation spread, I started hearing from extended family. Margaret had apparently told them I was being unreasonable, portraying herself and Edward as selfless parents who had made a tough decision for the family's good. But I wasn't about to let their narrative go unchallenged. During one particularly heated phone call, my aunt tried to intervene. "Clarice, you have to see it from their perspective," she said. "They were just trying to help Emily. Isn't that what family does?" "Family doesn't steal from each other," I replied coldly. "They could have asked me." They didn't. They just took what they wanted and assumed I wouldn't fight back. There was a long pause before she muttered, "Well, I suppose you have a point." Meanwhile, Dani became my lifeline. She stayed up late with me, going over Rebecca's updates and helping me stay focused. "I know, it's exhausting," she said one night as we sat in my living room, surrounded by paperwork, "but you're almost there." They're already cracking under the pressure. She wasn't wrong. Margaret had started sending me long, rambling texts, alternating between guilt-tripping and pleading for forgiveness. "We didn't mean to hurt you. Can't we just move on from this?" One message, "Read." Another said, "Why are you dragging us through this, Emily's?"